Hey guys, it's Ian Lives. Welcome back to another video. And before the video starts, I did talk about this on my community page, but I will be taking a break on YouTube. Reason being, June is going to be such a busy month for me that fitting YouTube into it is, I don't want my videos to feel rushed or unfinished, so I'm just going to take a break. Basically, I'm going on vacation and I'm having my birthday at the same time. It's going to be my birthday while I'm on vacation, June 8th. And then I'm graduating high school, which is a huge thing. So it's just a very busy month. I don't know how much I'll upload this month, but I will know that after this video, I'm going to take at least a week off, maybe more. So it's a new month, which means a new ranking. We're ranking everything I saw in May. So I ended up seeing 78 movies, which isn't the most I've seen in a month, but it is more than last month. Starting at number 78, the bottom of the barrel is going to be Sleepaway Camp 4, The Survivor. Now, this is actually technically the 5th movie, and it's not even really a movie. It's a compilation of clips from 1, 2, and 3 put together, and it is just a boring mess. There's no point of watching this if you've already seen the first 3. They tried to add in this little plot with narration, but it's just horrible. This movie's one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen, and that's sad considering that my favorite movie of all time is Sleepaway Camp, the first one. Number 77 is going to be Founders Day. This was a new slasher that came out at the beginning of the year that I was actually excited about, because it feels like ever since Thanksgiving came out, we're getting these 90s slashers back, which is really fun, and Founders Day seemed like to be another 90s type slasher. You have this masked killer killing all these people, and it all has to do with the mayor or something. I don't remember. This movie was horrible. The acting is horrible. The dialogue is horrible, and it's laughable. It's one of the worst slashers I've ever seen. Number 76 is going to be The Human Centipede 3. I treated myself this month to this trilogy because I heard that it was gross, nasty, and I wanted to see what it was all about. Now, this one was just annoying. There's not a lot of Human Centipede stuff, which I'm not saying I like that, but I go into a Human Centipede movie expecting that, and this is just like very raunchy, annoying humor of just people yelling. There's just yelling throughout the whole entire movie, and it gave me a headache. Human Centipede 3 is easily the worst. Number 75 is going to be Return to Sleepaway Camp. This is another extremely annoying movie. It's a bad movie, but you have a good enough time with it to where it's not the worst thing you've ever seen. But there's a character named Alan in here that will have you pulling your hair out. He is so annoying. He's just obnoxious. You can't stand him. But the twist was silly and fun, and there's some really great gore in here. There's a kill that has to do with a bunk bed that I thought was really creative and had some good practical effects. So you'll get something out of this movie, but not much. Number 74 is going to be Tarot. Another new horror movie that came out where I saw the trailers. I had no hope in it. No hope at all. Because it looked like your straight forward horror movie. You know, and that's exactly what it was. You get a decent concept where they do these tarot readings and eventually they die in the ways that their tarot card said. So that was interesting, but the acting was atrocious. There's so many plot holes. The plot moves in a weird pacing. It was all over the place. It was such a mess. So yeah, I did not like Tarot at all. Number 73 is going to be Tamara. This one caught my eye because the poster art kind of looked like it was going to be like another early 2000s, late 90s slasher, kind of like how Scream was. And the plot sounded a lot like Carrie. And it is a lot like Carrie. This girl gets bullied, and she ends up in this prank to where they accidentally kill her. They didn't mean to kill her, but they do. And she basically comes back from the dead and kills them all. It is very, very, very bad. It's not a good movie. Again, bad acting, laughable dialogue. There's some hideous one-liners in here. And, yeah, it was just not a fun time. Number 72 is Bog. This was a movie that I didn't even finish. I watched it with my grandma. The opening scene was fun. It got really boring toward the middle, so we shut it off. Number 71 is going to be Miller's Girl. This is a new thriller type drama that came out with Jenna Ortega. And it was very boring. And there's some stuff that happens that's also kind of laughable. It's unrealistic. It seems very cheesy and hokey, and it makes sense that it was put on Netflix. Number 70 is Knives and Skin. Again, I thought this was going to be like your typical slasher. This was on Shudder. And it was a very weird, bizarre movie that moved so slow. And it was over 2 hours long. And I still don't understand what it's about. I mean, it's about this girl who goes missing. And, you know, the parents are all distraught. But then it just goes in these weird places. So, Knives and Skin was not for me. Number 69 is going to be Blood Harvest. This is a horror movie that stars Tiny Tim. Yes, that Tiny Tim, the musician. And he's dressed up as a clown, but he doesn't even play the killer. Very, very, very missed opportunity. And it was just a boring slasher. Number 68 is going to be The Innkeepers. Very disappointed because I've loved everything Ty West so far. This is easily the worst thing I've seen from him so far. It's a very boring paranormal movie where you have these guys in this hotel trying to do this ghost hunter type thing, and it moves again at a very slow pace. I couldn't get into it. Number 67 is going to be Laced. This was a mindless, fun thriller, but there is a lot of decisions and plot holes that make you scratch your head, and the acting is for the most part not great. Number 66 is going to be Terminator Salvation. I also watched this franchise this month. And yes, this is my least favorite. It was way too blockbuster explosion-y for me. There's not a good enough plot here. They basically mixed the first 3 movies' plot into this hodgepodge mess. And Christian Bale doesn't even do good in here. Number 65 is going to be the Mother's Day remake. So this is the remake to the 80s movie, which you'll see on the list later. And it was just a very bad remake. They pretty much changed the whole plot. They play it super safe. They take away everything that made the original so wincy and unnerving, and they make it your typical these people broke into our house while we're having a party type movie, and it wasn't very interesting. Number 64 is going to be Cabin Fever. This is the original. Now, this Eli Roth seems to be very iffy with people, especially horror fans. There's people that either love him or hate him. So far, I've seen Hostel and Thanksgiving, and I really enjoy both of those movies a lot. Cabin Fever had my interest because it's, I think, his most popular movie, Eli Roth, but it was very, very obnoxious. It was poorly made, which is obvious because it is his first movie and it was really low budget. But the humor wasn't good. I couldn't get into this movie. There's some good scenes. That final act is pretty good, but the first and second act, not good. Number 63 is going to be In the Cut. Now, this is a thriller with Mark Ruffalo, and it was another very slow-paced movie, and it never really found its, plot. It was all over the place. You get these romance things, you get this murder mystery, and it never concluded in a satisfying way, and it just felt like a waste of time. Number 62 is going to be Victor Crowley. I did a Hatchet ranking. You can go check that out. Number 61 is going to be Mother's Boys. I watched this on Mother's Day. This stars Jamie Lee Curtis, and I think it's based off of a book. Basically, you have this girl, this wife, who returns back home after disappearing from her family. And she's all surprised that her husband has a wife now, a new wife. And then it hard shifts into this thing where their kid is having psychotic thoughts and is killing stuff. It was, again, all over the place. It couldn't find its pace. It couldn't find its plot. And it was just a pretty big miss. Number 60 is going to be Wes Craven's Shocker. He basically ripped himself off. It follows the same concept as A Nightmare on Elm Street, where you have this guy who has these nightmares, and his nightmares turn out to be real, and stuff from his nightmares end up getting pulled into reality. It was very cheesy, very schlocky. The ending was fun with the whole TV battle, but there's just so much stupid stuff where it goes beyond camp. It's just ridiculous. Number 59 is going to be Hatchet 2. Go check out my ranking. Number 58 is going to be Sleeping Dogs. This is a new thriller with Russell Crowe. It was easy enough. The casual audience will like it, but if you watch a lot of movies, you'll realize that it's very messy, it's very cliched, and it's kind of eye-rolling most of the time. and that twist was stupid. Number 57 is going to be the original Human Centipede. I actually laughed at this thing more than I went, ugh, because it was so over the top and ridiculous. I'm glad that the sequel, which you'll see later on the list, actually took the concept into something much more gritty and gnarlier with it. Typical torture porn movie that came out during the Saw era. So, not completely my thing. Number 56 is going to be Henry, the Portrait of the Serial Killer 2. Most of you guys probably don't even know that there's a sequel, but there is, and it replaces the cast, and it wasn't the greatest thing. It's basically the same movie, but just worse in quality. Number 55 is going to be Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. It's Bob Clark. He does great movies, but this one was just a dud for me. Number 54 is going to be The Dead Don't Die. Another dud. A lot of potential with that amazing stacked cast, but it was very boring and weird. Number 53 is going to be The Convent. Some fun performances and some fun jokes and some fun laughs, but it overall felt like it was missing something. Number 52 is Sweet Dreams. This is a new comedy with Johnny Knoxville and a bunch of other of the comedians that are kind of popular right now, like Bobby Lee and what the hell is the other guy's name? Theo Von. They're all in here. It was a lot more dark than I was expecting. It talks about drug abuse and being an alcoholic and all this. It wasn't as comedic as it should have been. I think it would have worked way better as a full-on comedy. It just needed to find its right, its right fit. Number 51 is going to be The Final Terror. This was a pretty fun slasher. Number 50 is going to be Terminator Genesis. This was all over the place. And it felt very blockbustery, again, like Salvation, with the explosions and stuff, and you get the CGI Arnold. But it was enough fun. I had enough fun with it. I was hooked to it, and it kept my interest, so I enjoyed it enough. Number 49 is going to be Humane. This is the directorial debut of David Cronenberg's sister. Or daughter, not sister. And the acting wasn't good. And it had a good cast. The acting wasn't good. The plot was generic. And, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't huge on it. Number 48 is going to be Lake Mungo. This was a found footage movie that was suggested to me a lot. And everyone was praising it. I checked it out and I was a little disappointed. I don't think I like the mockumentary type concept. I liked it with Hell House. But with Lake Mungo, it felt like I was just watching a documentary on Netflix, like the true crimes, and I hate those. I don't get interested in those at all. So, immediately, I didn't really feel completely connected with this movie, but I did appreciate the metaphor that it was going for. And it had some creepy feelings to it, but overall, I thought it was fine. Number 47 is going to be Nightbreed. This was a very wacky, kooky movie that was very unique. It just wasn't completely my cup of tea. Number 46 is going to be A Bay of Blood. This is hailed to be one of the original slashers, one of the best Italian horror films of all time. And it had some great kills, but it wasn't completely memorable for me. I already don't remember everything that happened, and I've seen a lot more better slashers than it. Number 45 is going to be Scanners. This is probably way lower than people would want it to be, but I was bored to tears with this. I don't know what it was about it. The plot felt like it wasn't going quick enough, and I wanted stuff to happen. And that was its biggest problem. The final act is really great, but it's like the good moments don't make up for the boring chunk, the huge boring chunk in the middle. So far, my least favorite Cronenberg. Number 44 is going to be the original Hatchet. Check out my ranking. Number 43 is going to be Dog Soldiers. Another movie that was kind of hyped up for me. It's like Predator. Think of Predator, but with werewolves. I wanted more gore. I wanted more shock factor. And a lot of this movie are just these people camping out, waiting for this wolf. It had some fun moments, though. Number 42 is going to be Boy Kills World. This is a new action comedy that stars Bill Skarsgård. That had my interest when it was first getting trailers and getting its rollout. And then it completely bombed at the box office. Like, it bombed horribly. And it had me nervous. I watched it when it hit digital. It was very, very messy, very all over the place, very rough around the edges. But I could see what it was going for. It was kind of like a Deadpool, John Wick hybrid is what it felt like to me. You get like the fun comedy, fourth wall breaks, good humor, but it just felt like it was missing something. Number 41 is going to be Terminator 3. This one grew on me the more I sat with it. It's very silly. It's very funny. It's very, it's very corny and cheesy. But it kind of had like a grindhouse feel to it that I really liked. It's very simple. It's very straight to the point. It gets the job done. And I overall had a fun time with it. Number 40 is going to be Vamp. This is a horror comedy about vampires that has a good cast and a good concept. And again, I wasn't completely hooked to it, so I didn't love it as much as other people, but I still had a really good time with it. Number 39 is going to be When You Finish Saving the World. This is an A24 and Fruit Tree movie directed by Jesse Eisenberg that stars Finn Wolfhard and Julianne Moore. So all those names had me excited for it, and the plot sets up some really good. So you follow two groups of characters. You follow Finn Wolfhard and him at his school, and he's in love with this girl, and he is an aspiring musician. Then you get Julianne Moore, who works at this shelter, and she meets this new kid, and she wants to bond with him because she doesn't really have that much of a bond with her son Finn Wolfhard. But it never concludes. None of it ever concludes. It never connects. It just stops. So it felt very unsatisfying, which really, really, really tanked my overall enjoyment of the movie. Because I wanted to see how everything ended. I wanted to see how these characters ended up. So it was kind of a disappointment. Number 38 is going to be Drive Angry. This is a fun grindhouse movie with Nick Cage that I highly recommend. Number 37 is going to be Terminator Dark Fate. I like this way more than the normal audience. I thought it was very entertaining. Yeah, it's cheesy in moments, but it's a lot better than the other sequels. Number 36 is going to be Disconnected. This is a early 80s, mid 80s slasher film that's very gritty. And I liked when it focused about certain things and when it's focused on others. And also you have a character who has a twin sister, and they're played by the same actor. So it was very confusing on who you're looking at. But overall, I had a good time with it. Number 35 is going to be Bob Marley, One Love. This is the movie about Bob Marley. I thought it was pretty entertaining. I did wish it explained more about his life, though. Don't Go Into the House is number 34. This is one of those movies that are character studies on this guy. You're just watching him slowly snap. And there's some good kills in here and some good acting performances. Number 33 is going to be The Human Centipede 2. What a gross, gritty movie that is really what I wanted from the whole franchise. Wanted, quote unquote, because it does get very gross in the final act when you actually get the human centipede thing going. But I loved how it broke the fourth wall. It went meta, where this guy is obsessed with the original movie and he wants to recreate it. I thought it was very smart. I loved the black and white filter. Human Centipede 2 really shocked me. Number 32 is going to be Sting. This is the other Spider movie that came out around the same time as Infested. It's not nearly as good as Infested, but you can still have a good fun time with it. Number 31 is going to be Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares. This is the story of Robert Englund, aka Freddy Krueger. I appreciated this documentary because it didn't just focus on his time during the Elm Street era. It really focused on his whole entire acting career as a whole, as you would expect. But it was very interesting, and I learned a lot of new stuff because I feel like I don't know much about Robert Englund outside of Freddy Krueger. Number 30 is going to be Blackout. This is a new werewolf type movie that's very grindhouse, very retro feeling, and it takes a very different turn for a werewolf film, and I highly recommend it. Number 29 is going to be Tourist Trap. This is a movie that I've been meaning to watch for a while. I got about halfway through a year ago, and I shut it off for some reason. I don't remember, but it has your full moon flavor, but in the 70s era. It's a lot of fun. There's some great moments. It just kind of drags toward the end. That's my biggest flaw with it. Number 28 is going to be Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. A lot of flaws here, but it's still really entertaining and really fun. Number 27 is going to be Challengers. This was the big boom talk of the town for a long time. I checked it out, and much like this other director's movies, Call Me By Your Name and Bones and All, two movies that have been praised through the roof that I was just okay on. Call Me By Your Name I really don't like all that much. Challengers was good. I'm not over the moon on it, but it was good. It was a very good story. It was told very well. The soundtrack was great. The editing was great. In my opinion, the best of that director's work so far. Number 26 is going to be The Lobster, Colin Farrell, and it's directed by the same dude that did Poor Things and coming soon, Kinds of Kindness, which I'm extremely excited for. This was very hit or miss for me. I love the first half where you're focused on Colin Farrell in this place where you have to find love, and if you don't find love within a certain time, you turn into an animal. It's a very wacky concept, but the second half really loses the fun of that concept and goes off on its own, and I wasn't really into it. Number 25 is going to be Day of the Dead. Yeah, and again, it's going to shock people that this is this low, but it isn't what I like from zombie movies. Don't want to sound too ADHD or anything, but I like my zombie movies to be You get killings, you get zombies, you get gore. There's some great gore in here, but it focuses a lot more on studying the zombies, which isn't too interesting for me. Number 24 is going to be Saint Maud. After watching Love Lies Bleeding, I immediately checked this one out. Not as good in my opinion, but it is definitely unique, and that ending will stick in your brain for a long time. Number 23 is going to be Dead of Night. Bob Clark once again, and this one was really fun, really cool, really good idea with this guy. He dies in Vietnam, and he comes back, and he acts different, and nobody knows why. Number 22 is going to be Hellbender. This is directed by the Addams Family, which, if you guys don't know about the Addams Family, it's this family that is all involved and directs these movies, these little indie horror movies. They do the soundtrack, they do the directing work, they do everything, they act in them. It's a very impressive movie, knowing that behind it, and it's very, very, very unique. Number 21 is going to be Talking Heads in Rome. This is a live thing for Talking Heads where they played in Rome. Good music. I mean, that's all I can say. My cat is driving me nuts. Number 20 is going to be Arcadian. This is the new movie with Nick Cage where it's like the end of the world or whatever. A lot of people hated this. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Number 19 is going to be The Tracy Fragments. This is a little indie hidden gem that stars Elliot Page. He does fantastic in here. And the way that the movie's told is very unique, where you have these little screens all over your screen, and it's telling the life of this girl, but it's telling it backwards. It's very unique. It's hard to explain. Just go watch it. I loved it. Number 18 is going to be Mother's Day. This is like the perfect grindhouse slashers I like from the 80s. You get the shock factor, you get the gore. It's very hard to watch at points, but I just liked it. It was simple, it was straight to the point, and I liked it a lot. Number 17 is going to be The Lighthouse. This is a very popular movie, very highly regarded in the A24 catalog. And I thought it was really good. There's just some parts that didn't connect with me, that I didn't understand. The whole farting thing, what was the point of that? The ending was kind of shocking and abrupt. I think I get some of the metaphors, but I'm not completely connected with it. Number 16 is going to be I Am Not a Serial Killer. This is another hidden gem that I found on Shudder that has Christopher Lloyd in it. And I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it. There's a twist that happens very early on that sets up the whole entire movie. Go into this movie completely blind. You'll be surprised. Just based off the title, it's nothing like what it's advertised. And I love horror movies like that. So I had a great time with I'm Not a Serial Killer. Number 15 is going to be Martin. This is George A. Romero's vampire movie that's very different and unique to any other vampire movie I've seen. It takes the religious aspect, which I'm usually not a huge fan of, but I liked how it was integrated here. Number 14 is going to be The Fall Guy. This is the newest Ryan Gosling movie. It was a really fun movie. It was funny. It had good action. I really love David Leitch's movies so far. Between this and Bullet Train, the styles are unmatched. They really work well with me. It's my type of humor. And yeah, I really enjoyed The Fall Guy. It sucks that it bombed in the box office, and it's actually surprising that it bombed. Number 13 is going to be Civil War. This is also the talk of the town for A24 for a while. I really enjoyed this because I thought it was going to be, political, as most people would. Political. It's going to be about government, presidents. It is, but it doesn't talk about it too much. It's more about living in the war, living post-war in this rundown world and having to survive. It's more about that than the political stuff, which might disappoint people or make people more interested in checking it out. I would say it's worth your time. It doesn't get too, you know. Number 12 is going to be Drive. Ryan Gosling. I never seen this movie. I thought it was really good. I loved the gore. It's this director's style because he also did Neon Demon and I had the same complaint. Not only is the pace of the movie extremely slow, but everyone moves and talks like a snail. And it drives you nuts. But I kind of got past that and got used to it. Number 11 is going to be The First Omen. I know a lot of people are probably waiting for my thoughts on this movie. I've only seen the original Omen and I'm not huge on it. But I did really enjoy this one. I like it more than the original. I liked how it connected to the first one by the end of it. It's one of the best prequels I've ever seen. It's very unique. The pacing, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the pacing was really slow, as it was in the first movie. But I really enjoyed it. Number 10 is going to be The Last Stop in Yuma County. Where did this movie come from? Please go watch it. It's like Quentin Tarantino type movie. It's very Quentin Tarantino. I thought it was very Quentin Tarantino. Just like how like the dialogue is set up. It's a lot like Pulp Fiction. It's just a very fun, quick crime comedy. Number 9 is going to be The Terminator, the original one. I loved it. Okay, I loved it. Number 8 is going to be Jaws. Yes, this was a first time watch. And I didn't love it as much as other people because I didn't enjoy it as much. I didn't have as much fun. It was a good movie, but I wasn't having a really fun time with it. Number 7 is going to be Hatchet 3 again. Hatchet 3 is not better than Jaws, but I thought I liked it. I enjoyed it more. I had more fun with it. I rate off enjoyment. Go check out my ranking. Number 6 is going to be Mysterious Skin. This was getting a lot of talk and buzz on TikTok. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's one of those one and done movies. You're not going to rewatch this very often, but it was very interesting and it really engaging and very, very, very devastating. Some of the topics that they tackle. So I really thought it was a good movie though. Number 5 is going to be The Florida Project. Talk about a great movie that's very realistic. I know people who live like that. You know, where they're single moms, they're in this apartment, they're very trashy people. I know people like that. I've been in that environment before, and I thought the director nailed it perfectly. The acting was phenomenal. Willem Dafoe was in here. That's probably like the only super notable actor in here, because it's a very indie movie. Again, A24, so it's not indie, but it feels very indie. So yeah, I really enjoyed The Florida Project. Number 4 is going to be Nebraska. This is directed by Alexander Payne, one of my favorite directors doing it. And this is one of the best I've seen from him. It's very unique. Well, I wouldn't say it's unique. I would say it's similar to The Holdovers, if you're going to compare it to another Alexander Payne movie. I loved the black and white filter, and I loved the telling of this father and his son. Number 3 is going to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Yes, I liked it that much, as most people did. It was very fun, and the villain is awesome. Number 2 is going to be Pleasantville. This is basically The Truman Show, but with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon. It was a lot of fun, and I absolutely adored it. I don't like it as much as Truman Show, but it was very, very, very sad at moments. It was very funny at moments. It held amazing acting performances, and I just loved it. Number 1 is going to be, by no one's surprise, I did a whole movie review on it. I Saw the TV Glow. This lived up to every single ounce of hype I was giving it. I wanted this to be my favorite of the year. It ended up being my favorite of the year. I'm still thinking about it, and I saw it like 3 weeks ago. So, it's for sure my number 1. And that was my ranking for May of 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I'm going to be taking a break. Please subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell. It means a lot. Follow my Instagram at IanLives_. Follow my Letterboxd at wehateian. And I really do love you guys. And I will see you guys eventually. Peace.